You feel it up there, Todd Father? I'm in Florida right now, but there's a lot going on in the New York sports scene this evening. There are not one, but two marquee events.
Well, the Lightning just came. I don't know if you saw that. It's good.
Three marquee events. So I don't pay as close attention to NHL anymore. I didn't know the Lightning are in town. Are the Devils in the conference finals?
No, they're out.
We've got three. I didn't even know about that one. Or maybe they're playing the Rangers. No.
So we got some nastiness going around here in the tri-state area. But what we know what number one is for me, it's the New York Subway Series. That's definitely number one, in my opinion. We got the Mets versus the Yanks. And then number two, what do you think number two is? Are we skipping over to another sport, or what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, the New York Knicks.
The New York Knicks, baby. Yes.
They got a game tonight as well.
They need to, I know it's a baseball show, but losing that big in Boston, that was a little sketchy there. They need to figure it out. So
I will say this, Kratz, tickets to go to a Knicks playoff game are beyond whatever you think the price is, up it, double or triple it.
Really?
I mean, for me at least, like if you want a seat that's not, in the last row, but even super top section in the back, like you're dropping, I think, still four figures tonight. Ooh. So thousands of dollars. It's insane to get into that place. So the consolation prize is, it's not cheap, but it is worlds cheaper to see Juan Soto, 50,000 against one, return to Yankee Stadium. Although newsflash, Kratz, he does have teammates. So I would say 25 or 26 versus 50,000 helps. But obviously he's going to get all of the attention. I think that's going to be a fun watch. We're going to talk more about it later, but I just wanted to make sure we got the whole, scene set of what's going to happen this evening and how they're going to treat him because, he spent 20 years there. They made a higher money offer to him. How dare he show them up and bite his thumb at the Yankees after everything that they did for him?
Did you say 20 years or 20 minutes?
Oh, 20 minutes. And oh, wait, they actually got severely outbid, not just by the total number, but by the bonus and some other things too. Sorry, my bad. A quick error there. How do we feel about the Yankees treating him as a villain?
Yankees fans, let's be precise here. Yankee fans are definitely treat him like a villain. The guy didn't choose your team. Could have, but he didn't. He didn't choose your team. So if you're mad, go for it. You're going to be mad for 15 years. Every year he comes in the Subway Series. So just make sure whatever you're going to do, be consistent.
Todd, do Yankee fans have a point, or should they leave him alone? Obviously, you're going to boo him a little bit, but my thing is he public enemy number one for bringing them to a World Series and then going to another team that was giving him more money after spending a whopping 1 year with the franchise?
I mean, it's just his stature and who he is and how he played. He was so darn good for the Yankees. He was, besides Shohei Ohtani, he was right there as being one of the best hitters in baseball last year. I think that links to Yankee fans. That hits home knowing that they're not going to get that ever again. I guess maybe how he did it a little bit. I don't know. With the things that came out, how they didn't get along. I don't know all the stories, but Yankee fans, they're going to be on you. There's going to be some that aren't going to boo, but there's going to be a lot that are going to boo, and that's just the nature of the beast when you come to the boogie down Bronx. I mean, I don't think he did anything wrong. Unfortunate for, all the Yankee fans out there and for the teammates. They would have loved to have him there, but now he's moved on to the New York Mets, and this makes for what I call must-see TV, and I cannot wait to watch it all.
That's my thing is he didn't really do anything wrong. And I think even if there wasn't a story about, the security or whatever else he wanted with the Yanks that, he felt like he was going to get with the Mets. I mean, that's really just a narrative about hiding what really matters to a free agent who waited until he could get his big payday.
Hey.
Moolah, baby. You got
just a big payday. The biggest ever. The biggest ever.
Tell you, every MLB player loves him for raising the price of free agency. Vladdy Jr.'s sending him all kinds of chocolates and flowers and everything else. Thanks for an extra hundo or whatever he got when the market value was raised for a player that's a similar age. So anyway, we're going to talk more about it. But, I mean, one season there was a really, really great member of the team. I think there's a difference between villain and just being jealous that you don't have the player anymore. That's what it really is.
Upsetting for sure.
You're upset. But I mean, hey, do you think that, all right, last one. Do you think that, Kratz, I'll start with you. Juan Soto is a Yankee right now if they offered him $850 million in guaranteed money? I don't need to hear how crazy the number is. Just, would he be a Yankee if it was $850 right now instead of
Is that the most? Is that the most he was offered? Is that more than any other team offered?
Yeah.
Yes, that would be more. Or even 800 obviously would be more in guaranteed money.
Yes. If he got more, he would be a Yankee. Yes. Yeah,
I'll down it to 800 because obviously that's still much more than 755. Yes. $800 million. He's a Yankee. Todd Father, $800 million. Is Juan Soto a Yankee or is he a Met at 765?
I still think I would say he's a Yankee. Yeah, for sure.
Boom. There we go. So I think we know where we can direct blame. If you really, really wanted the player as a Yanks fan, you could have offered more money. It's just, that's how free agency works. And that's how life works for certain employees too. If they're working at a big company and, you know, they're in tech and then another company calls them and says, hey, I'm going to give you an extra 50 G's or whatever, they're leaving. They're probably leaving. Don't boo them out of the office. Respect the hustle. Let's charge the mound, baby. Todd Father, your old teammate Jacob deGrom had the best start of his Texas Rangers career, and it comes against a team that he actually had never faced in the regular season. He'd faced the Astros a bunch of times in spring training. That doesn't mean anything, but he was dealing, and he had some help from his defense. But this is going to be a fun series, the Lone Star series with the Rangers and the Astros, and Hunter Brown's a Cy Young candidate on the other side. So is deGrominator back, and do they need to make sure that, you know, they kind of lightly bubble wrap him, although not really because the Rangers need to get into the playoffs. This is the good stuff, man. He's still going. He's still kicking like this.
Yeah, and you can see in his press conference too. He was lit up a little bit with excitement, the way Jacob does. I think taken away from this, he was throwing his fastball in the upper 90s all the way until late innings. I think that's a big key. What I saw. I think his best pitch is that cut slider that he throws in the low 90s. When those pitchers are both on, that fastball has a little rise action to it. It stays on one plane, but it gets on you. It's exciting, and he looks like the Jacob deGrom of. And there's that little slider as we're watching here. It's like a baby cutter, but it has so much spunk and you know, tilt to it. It's just an absolute devastating pitch, and then everything looks like, you know, everything works off the fastball. And for him, everything was working, and he was mostly down in the zone, and that's where you want to live. And he lived on that outer part too as well. It was the Jacob deGrom of old, the deGrominator they called him in New York. And, excuse me, just got some thunder. So everybody's excited over here in Jersey for Jacob.
Like Thor? The God of Thunder? That's what you got?
Oh, geez. I think Thor, yeah, I think Syndergaard was excited too. Okay.
That's where I thought you were going with that. 2021, April 23rd, 2021 was the last time he has gone more than 8 innings. We're not bubble wrapping here, Scott. We're not bubble wrapping him. If they give him the leash to go 8, his manager, who knows how to take care of a bullpen, who knows how to work pitchers and get the most out of them throughout a season, and then also the playoffs, if he lets him go to the 8th like he did last night, and I get it, he was dominant. Hunter Brown was also dominant, but that is an incredible sign to see. And to me, there's no bubble wrap. You can't, but it's not, we got to stop bubble wrapping this guy. He got hurt when he was bubble wrapped and didn't go deep into games. He's got to figure it out, or the Rangers may not make the playoffs, let alone win in the playoffs.
Yeah, and Jake Berger to the rescue. I mean, Hunter Brown was ridiculous.
It was great
yesterday. He had one cutter that was a little flat. That was a mistake pitch, and that's the big leagues, folks. Often a big leaguer's not missing that one pitch that he gets, right? Todd Father, you've faced aces where you're like, damn, I mean, there's not much we can do. We just got to wait and see if he makes that one mistake. And he did. And Berger, who's had a rough year and got demoted and now is back and also is embracing this new Pope celebration. And if you want to see more of that, hit up our FT Twitter account last night. It was a super cool story. He's doing the cross on the celebration because he's like, hey, the Pope was a White Sox fan. He doesn't like that they traded me away. I'm going to give him a little blessing here with my homer. And he did. And that was the difference. Yeah.
And, to have him go back down there to kind of, refresh and retrain the mind is to know and understand that you are a big league ball player. It was a great swing by him, a little opposite field homer, just snuck over the wall, hit it to the perfect place on a ballpark you could in Arlington there. Yes. And sometimes all you need is one run. And for Hunter Brown, don't change anything. He pitched really well. He, as well as deGrom, stayed down in the zone, pinpoint control. And even when some of the pitches weren't where they're supposed to be, they're still nasty. It's hard to hit. And this is why you said, Scott, it's such a tough game, but it was fantastic. If you wanted to watch a really good game and a good pitching matchup and you had like 2 hours to spare, you should have watched this one. It was fantastic.
Obviously, we all had juice on the game yesterday, so it was different watching it. But it was different watching it, too, because it looked like Hunter Brown, who we've already known when he was just on the show the other day, we've already known he's kind of taken that next step. He's kind of taken that step where he's pushing the limits of how good he can be, and he's shown that so far. And then you go up against a guy like deGrom. He's not an idiot. He's not, I have no idea who we're going up against. He gets a 0. I'll match it. It looked like it was like he was ratcheting it up. And that whole highlight that we just showed of all his strikeouts really does him a disservice because that ball he was running in, I guess he's calling it that sinker, he's running in, allowed him to get those punch outs on the pitches that when he was struggling early last year, it was just all four seam. Analytics said, hey, four seams, they gotta get a lot of swings and misses. Well, he wasn't getting those swings and misses. Now he's running that sinker in, or whatever that is, that thing's running in on those guys, and then all of a sudden it's a different plane. That four-seamer is elite at the top of the zone when guys can't just sit on it. He is pitching. He's got great stuff, but he is pitching right now. And right now, he might be the one starting the All-Star game if it wasn't for old Tarek Skubal.
The ERA for Hunter Brown is 1.43. And lastly, I want to cover the offenses for both sides here as we'll watch them the next few days. I highly encourage you to check out our Brett Boone interview from yesterday, the new hitting coach for the Texas Rangers. It's just good stuff on where we're at with our game and with hitting coaches. And we've covered that story a lot the last couple weeks. Other side here, I'm on my way to the studio today, Todd Father, and I'm listening to Crush City Territory. Chandler Rome, who covers the team for The Athletic, is the host of that show. He was riding solo on the show today, and it was great. And he was providing the fan feedback that he's seen a lot of from Astros fans over the past few weeks. They're saying the offense is terrible, fire the hitting coach, all your classic lines. And he was pointing out how, yes, there are some lineup depth issues. It's not as long at the bottom, which is pretty much any lineup in baseball, but was backing up numbers like weighted runs created plus, showing that they've actually been an above average offense over the past month of games, 25 games. And that's despite having, I think, a couple shutout losses to the Royals. So basically he was stating the case that the Astros offense is fine. And the fact that he gets quite a few reply tweets yesterday about how much their offense stinks is kind of silly because they ran into Jacob deGrom. Like his reply at one point last night to one of the Astros fans was just like, it's Jacob deGrom. That's it. That's all I have to say. And this was vintage deGrom.
Listen, you want to see this. If you're a baseball fan, you want to see the old school deGrom. It's so exciting to watch. I was fortunate enough to play behind him, and sometimes you're sitting there like, I don't even need to be here right now, knowing how nasty this guy is. So we want to see that. We want to see everybody healthy. When we want to see Jacob deGrom lead this team and take this team and get to the playoffs, because when he's in playoff mode, he's nasty. You could put him up there with the Verlanders of the world and Scherzers of the world, when he's right. So again, this is really, really nice thing and really, really fun to watch. I hope this keeps going, and I hope this trek of him, pitching well and staying healthy is for the long haul.
Yeah, it's going to be a good series. I mean, the AL West has some openings this year. The Astros might be a little down, but they're still good. Rangers not as good as we thought they'd be to start the season, so they make things more competitive. Mariners, I think, exceeding expectations on offense, but having the starting pitching injuries, and then the A's should be able to hang around as well. I know they got smacked yesterday and lost the series to the Dodgers, but it's the Dodgers. We'll talk about them later on. And then there's the Angels, which we will also cover later with Ken. Ken wrote a very eye-opening story about the Angels, and it's going to take us back to the Ohtani days. But anyway, let's get to the A's. Mason Miller, their closer, joining us next on FT. Hey, FT fam. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit, Cam, because we're busy and we would like all of the ingredients to cook up something nice and make us look like elite chefs at home.
You know what I do? I've got kids in basketball, I've got soccer, I've got baseball. And when they get home, there's a fresh meal and they think, "Oh, Dad, he's so great." Well, no, it's not me. It's HelloFresh. It's nutritious. It's packed full of good nutrients. The kids have good energy, and they look at me like I'm the greatest dad in the world. So make sure you go grab that HelloFresh because you know what? It's doing my family all the good.
Cook up dishes like chicken Dijon and pecan crusted trout, over 100 seasonal snacks, sides, and treats as well. Feel great with meals that fit your spring schedule and make the season even more delicious. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM now to get 10 free meals with a free item for life. 1 per box with active subscription. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. We're back for a minute, and then we'll get ready for Mason Miller, A's closer, to join us. So I want to throw this out there because, we love the FT fam that's watching live at all times. Questions for Mason and for any of our guests today. We're here. We're looking for them. So let us know. It's part of what I think we do really well as a show. And Todd Father, we're at a casual 146,000 subscribers. So maybe we'll hit 150K by the weekend. We pretty recently got the Hundo trophy in, and we got a ways to go till we get to a mill, but just want to shout out the YouTube FT fam. Appreciate you. Todd Father, I don't know if you got to see this, but you're part of this, baby.
Yeah.
So
wow,
nice.
This is awesome. This is more to come. This is great. You think about where you started and the expectations you have for the show that we have, and we have a lot of goals we're going to meet, and this was definitely one of them, and we are cruising right along. We appreciate everybody who's come along and enjoyed this ride with us, because we're just shooting baseball the way it's supposed to be shot and talked about, and the way we think it should be. And we're critical on some things, and we're nicer on others. We're just being true, honest baseball gurus and lifers, and we appreciate everybody.
About the fans. It's about the fans. My mom can only create a certain amount of emails to subscribe for our show, so I appreciate you, Deb, but it's about the fans.
Oh, I have noticed recently that every subscriber, it says Deb Kratz 1, Deb Kratz 2, Deb Kratz 3.
Never.
A's closer Mason Miller with us right now. Mason, great to have you back on Foul Territory. How's life right now with the A's? I mean, just to put it simply, to start the conversation, hello to you and thanks for swinging by. This team the last couple of years hasn't been great, and now, you're in at least wild card contention, if not division contention. I know it's early in the season. Is it fun to be involved, on the now positive side of the rebuild?
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Appreciate you having me, as always. But getting to some competitive baseball is obviously a nice change of events for us. I think we were kind of there last year, but after the first half, you don't really get to look at the schedule or look at the standings and kind of see your team up there, kind of in a couple games out. It's early, so we're not necessarily focused on that. We're just focused on competitive baseball, bringing our best and trying to be consistent each game, each series.
Does it feel different? Are the conversations different than it was when, you guys you kind of dug a hole for yourself last year, and then you started to improve, and it's like, all right, we see it coming, but now you start the season out, you were hovering above 500. Now you're bouncing right in there. Are the conversations different in the clubhouse with you guys or in the bullpen, since you spend a lot of time out there?
Yeah, I think the expectations are certainly different. You have high expectations of yourself and of your teammates always. Um, but there's a ceiling on certain times, and we're not blind to that. But I think just the goals shift a little bit, and the goals in the previous couple of seasons are a little different than this year. After the end of last year, the second half that we played, that was kind of our coming out to everybody that we're a competitive team with some good players. And I think we knew that before everybody else did. So, now that we're at this point, we kind of knew that we had this talent, and I think that we can, play even higher above that. And we have a tough schedule this month, but I think it'll be a good test for us and kind of put up, shut up type times.
I love that. And I think, you hear guys say, especially earlier in the year, these games don't matter. They matter. Every single game matters. And I think that put up or shut up time, I absolutely love that. So for me, my question, you talk about competing, you're talking about a different team. Who's the leader right now? Who's that guy in the clubhouse that everybody looks for? Is it you? Is there a guy that, everybody kind of leans on, or is the team just know what they're doing? They come to the ballpark and say, hey, everybody's accountable. Let's get after it.
And we have an awesome mix of guys. Signing Sevy this year has been huge for us. He's a phenomenal leader, phenomenal person, and he's been really a big difference maker for the locker room, I think. But we got a young group with a couple veteran guys in there too, but just a bunch of guys that come to the field excited to see each other, excited to hang out, excited to work. So having guys like Rook and Law get extensions is awesome. Guys kind of look to them, obviously. But I think Rook, Sevy are probably two of our biggest guys, and they're doing a phenomenal job, kind of regardless of how their games go, just being the kind of calming presence for the team. And sometimes it's reminding the guys that we got another one tomorrow. Like after last night, it's easy to let that one sit with you a little bit. But we're going to turn the page and come play a competitive series and try to take the series here in San Francisco.
Yeah, you got a good point too. I'm looking the last three series. I mean, Mariners, who at that time were playing really, really well. They were kind of right in the midst of their hot streak. Then the Yankees, and then I know you just finished up the series in LA, and yet the team's still 22-22, 2 games away from first place in the AL West. So I just want to dial in on the Dodgers series for a moment. How was that to experience? Because they've kind of got this international vibe to them with the way that they've been able to pick up some of the top Japanese talent in the sport. Yamamoto, I know, pitched in that game a couple days ago. Ohtani put on a show in this series too. So how was that for you to witness? Obviously, you want to win the series. You guys picked up one game in it, but was it cool to actually experience what's going on there? Because I do feel like we're going to look back at this time at some point and forget the wins and losses, but just how much talent we've been seeing from Japan come over to the United States. And a lot of those players happen to be on the Dodgers.
Yeah, man. I mean, you have a lot of respect for good players, no matter who they're playing for, and to see that many good players is kind of established on one team, and they obviously have a lot of injuries that's going on there too. But to see the lineup that they run out every night is, they're one of the teams, perennial teams, and will be for a while. But just seeing a young guy like Kim taking the at bats he's taken, he got his first home run. I mean, he's a solid player, and rushing made his debut too, but. Just the group that they have, it seems like they have a lot of fun playing, and they have an awesome atmosphere, awesome stadium and fan base to play in front of. But that's kind of what makes being on the road and going to a place like that fun is kind of they're the measuring stick of the league right now. So we got the first game 11-1, then kind of rolled over the next two. But we know that we can beat teams like that, and it's just a matter of being consistent.
Who's the best team you've seen this year? You just left LA. I'm not saying it's the Dodgers. I'm saying who is the best team, and you're not saying they're better than the A's. It's just who have you been the most impressed with?
I think the Cubs was probably. I mean, it was early, but their lineup was firing, and their pitching's been pretty solid too. So I think as far as overall impression, I think they made the biggest one on me.
My question to you, Mason, I mean, you've talked about, your teammates. I want to talk a little bit about you as well. You got the electric arm. Talk about your process. Have you always had that electric arm? Is it something you've had to work on over the years? I mean, talk a little bit about, maybe you were a good hitter. I mean, did you hit back in the day? Talk about how you were as a hitter and then how you absolutely developed this cannon of an arm.
I mean, I'll play into it. I say I used to rake when I was a little kid, but
Okay.
I was a PO. I was a PO come high school, so I don't know if that really counts for a whole lot. But
No, it does. And on this show, it does for sure.
yeah,
I'll take it.
yeah. I mean, I was playing short and batting third when I was 12, so
Yep.
I'll hang that out there. But I think I've always had a smooth arm and thrown harder than most guys for my age. But getting past college and into the pros and being able to sustain this elite level of velocity, I think, is a God given gift. That's coupled with work ethic and the things I do to take care of my arm, my shoulder, my body, and put myself in a position that I'm able to go out there and compete on a day-to-day basis. I think at the end of the day, that's what's most important. As exciting as it is, the availability is the most important thing.
So, Mason, I want to ask you about the mental side, and I've got a specific way to approach this because yesterday we just got into a really good in-depth conversation with Max Muncy on the show about hitters meetings and how everybody has to come prepared with actual homework on what their approach is that night against the starting pitcher. Then they talk it out, etc. So, I mean, he gave us 15 really good minutes on how that all goes down. Some of the language that's used, which many people, if they're just listening in, would not understand, right? Like the baseball terminology that they're using. So how does it work on the pitching side? Like, what do you do? Are you looking to see what pocket you're going against? Or are you much more relying on your catcher and obviously, looking at locations and pitches and stuff like that? Or are you kind of dialing into a player by player basis of your preparation against teams?
Yeah, I think I have honestly a pretty unique outlook on it since I used to start, and that preparation's a lot different. Being that you'll have to get a guy 3 times maybe during an outing. But now speaking as a reliever, we have a relievers meeting before the start of every series. Kind of go through the lineup, go through who's a runner, tendencies, things like that, and then kind of just talk about where a guy's misses, whether it's heaters up, heaters away, what lanes in or out is better, up and down. Kind of just giving guys an idea of the safe zones to go or the more optimal places to be. Obviously, there's certain hitters like Ohtani where it's like, hey, the whole box is red. You don't want to give him anything too good, but at the same time, you don't want to just put him on base every time. So it's just kind of about giving guys the keys to their stuff. Everybody's stuff's different. My holes or my zones that I'm going to are going to be a lot different than a guy that can has a good changeup or a cutter, curveball, things like that I don't do. So it's kind of just the same way that you teach a 6th grade class and you got kids that are very smart and kids that very from lower levels to middle levels, everything in between. It's like everybody's in a different spot, but it's like how do you get it to a point where you're meeting everybody's needs? So I think for us, 8 relievers, you've got a couple guys that throw cutters, a couple guys that throw good changeups, sinkers, etc. So you just kind of hit each one of those throughout the meeting, and then I honestly think that it's a little bit on the player too. That you know yourself best, and the way that you're going to be able to get the guy out, you kind of have to be able to go and look at the numbers and figure that stuff out for yourself. So I kind of just look at where a guy's damage is. Since I'll be pitching in the most important part of the game most of the time, I want to know where the guy historically has done his damage and where I can go to get swing and miss, if I need it. So that's kind of how I approach it. And, I think you're always learning too. You got different resources available to you, heat maps, weighted averages, all this different stuff where it can get kind of consuming at times. But I think the sooner you find something that works for you and just have a process, I think that's the best way to do it.
Mason, I want you to look at me. I want you to look at me in the eyes. And next time you guys have a scouting report meeting, I want you to be like, cutter slider? Bro, I throw 103. I'm going to blow some cheese by these nerds. That's what you need to say in your meeting. Because I know that's what's going on in your head. You're like, I am this good. But you're right. If you take everything that they're talking about and you can start executing it, it takes you to the next level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I do approach that way. Some guys, it's, give them a heater until they put a good swing on it. But I kind of, the last couple of weeks, struggled a little bit with my slider command, and saw that in Miami, and that ultimately led to the grand slam from Stowers. But it's kind of like when I do guys a favor and don't throw anything else competitively close to the zone, and they can just gear up for the heater. And I got to throw it. I got to throw it in the zone at some point. So just giving them a chance in that sense. If I'm able to mix my stuff, be in the zone, expand the zone, and then really start throwing those fastballs where it's like I'm coming and throwing this fastball by you. That's when I'm at my best.
It's called a speedball. You throw a speedball. Some guys throw fastballs. You throw a speedball. Is there somebody you watch? Like, let's say you're facing the Dodgers, and your lane is, it's not just a ninth inning or whatever. It's 1, 2, 3 in that lineup. Do you queue up on the True Media on your scouting report page? Do you queue up a certain pitcher? Because I know hitters would do that. Like, I would never look at how somebody faces Prince Fielder. I'm not a left-handed power hitting, monster. I would look up other backup catchers that don't play much, that hit right-handed, how a pitcher attacks them. Do you look up a certain pitcher and you go, if this guy attacks him this way, I think I can too?
Yeah, I think that's an awesome way to do it. There's a lot of great pitchers in the league, and for me, if I'm going to look at fastball swing and miss, and if it's, it could be sinkers. Obviously, you can filter it to just four seams, but there's a huge variance between a 92 mile an hour fastball and a 100 mile an hour fastball. So I usually filter it to like 97 and above, and guys that I'll see a lot of are, Suarez for the Padres, Helsley for the Cardinals, Chapman obviously too, and kind of you'll watch it, but I don't I don't think I'm as fastball heavy, or my fastball isn't necessarily quite as dominant as a guy like Suarez, where he's able to throw it 85% of the time and still generate the swing and miss that he has. I think ultimately at the end of the day, you watch it and you're like, if I execute my fastball, I can get this guy out, no problem. It's watching guys like that just their execution is so good. At the top of the rail, in and out. That's the roadmap. Just get to the top and work it in and out.
Hey, last one, Mason. Whatever the scouting report was for Johnny Pereda against Shohei Ohtani, I mean, I don't know if anyone can replicate the pitch, then getting the ball authenticated, the whole deal. So what was that like to witness, and what did the guys say to him afterward?
Yeah, I mean, quiet clubhouse after a 19-2 loss for sure.
True.
But, I walked past Johnny and I gave him a little, if I knew that all I had to do was throw 64 miles an hour and then go hard up at the end, the whole league should have been doing this for a while, right? It's not that hard, is it, Johnny? And he just laughed. Yeah, it's his third strikeout now. It's unfortunate that he's had to be in as many games as he has, but he said he wants to get up to above 90 miles an hour. And I mean, I think his pitching career, this will be the highlight. I don't know. I don't really care what else he does, but he'll always have that ball.
Yeah, I don't think you could top that, what he just did, in yesterday's game. And trust me, Shohei Ohtani's not taking an at-bat off, so he got him.
Yeah.
He got him. He's like, I've not seen that
He
before.
did.
That is the approach, right? Kratz 60-something down, and then what was that, like 85?
89, I think.
89 was it?
Say,
oh.
He hit. I thought he hit 88 or 89.
Yeah, he's been pretty close. He's been pretty close to 90. I think it was a TV 89. Yeah.
I love it. Well, dude, great to catch up. Good luck against the Giants here coming up, and then we'll get you again in a few weeks.
All right, awesome guys. Good to talk to you as always.
You too. Thank you, Mason Miller, A's closer with us on FT. Ken Rosenthal swinging by next. Hey, we're back. All right, we're getting ready to talk to Kenny Ballgame, Ken Rosenthal. So again, good questions from everyone there, and we will try to bring some of these questions to Ken. We're going to start off with his juicy Shohei Ohtani Angels article coming up in just a moment, but good stuff there. I mean, I'm enjoying these interviews, Kratz. I think this week we took a turn here where we got a little baseball-y, but you know I'm a nerd, so I like to hear this stuff. And I know from the fan perspective, maybe for you guys, you dealt with it for a long time, and it just seems like, oh, whatever, we're sitting in a meeting. Like for me, in my baseball career covering the game, the coolest parts are, say, the manager's office conversations that I have before I call a game, right? And just hearing what they're talking about right before the game begins. So having this with Mason and hearing how he's watching other flamethrowers and how they attack people, versus also hearing what Muncy does yesterday with his hitters is pretty cool.
It's how you get to the next level of your ability. Not necessarily that Mason Miller is going to be any better than an all-star or anything like that. He's trying to figure out the little things that it's going to get him to be the best he can be. I guess his ERA is a little high, but he's a closer. Who cares about his ERA? But just the language, if you're picking up things, he said top rail. Max Muncy was talking about how pitches are planing out. He was talking about how stop throwing the cutter yesterday because Shohei hit the dinger. Like, this is all conversations that happen throughout the game. It's not just, oh, baseball, bat, go hit that, John. No, there's a lot of conversation, and it's almost like another language. Max said it yesterday. It's another language, and to me, that's what I think our show can bring to fans. If they pay attention, you're not getting this anywhere else because it's like instant access from these guys who are in it day in and day out.
Agreed. 100%. I got nothing else to add to that one. He's right on every little thing. So,
and they like to hear from you guys too, obviously. Like I can tee up some things, but then you guys can ask some follow-ups that, I just don't know about. So it helps. Thanks, guys. Thanks for helping me out. It does make a difference. All right, so
Scott.
Yeah, well, I've never been in those conversations, so we all want to be at the table. Let's get the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, I'm getting right to the headliner from this morning in The Athletic that you released. The Angels didn't capitalize on having Shohei Ohtani. Now they get to watch the Dodgers do so. It sounds like a simple headline, but then can you get into how the mistakes were made over the course of his career with the team?
First of all, this hit me when I was at Dodgers camp this spring, and there were thousands of people on the backfield at Dodgers camp. And I thought to myself, this is an amazing phenomenon. We all know about the money they've made. We all know about Ohtani being followed by Yamamoto and now Sasaki. And why couldn't this have been the Angels? That's what came to me. The Angels had Ohtani. They had him for 6 years. And yet they never capitalized in the way that the Dodgers have. And really, what I talked about in the article were three things. One, their failure to capitalize economically the way the Dodgers have. And that means bringing in sponsorships. It means bringing in fans. Now, they had obviously some economic benefit. That's perhaps one reason why they wouldn't trade him. But they didn't do it to the extent that the Dodgers have done it. And for those who might say, well, that's L.A., Anaheim in Orange County is a pretty nice place too. And there's plenty of things to do there. Disneyland and beaches and Knott's Berry Farm. You can go on and on. So they had every opportunity, didn't take advantage of that. Then they had every opportunity to trade Ohtani, and they didn't do that. And in the article, I mentioned that Jackson Merrill was at one point part of the talks between the Padres and Angels when they were discussing Ohtani. This was in 22. The deadline, remember, the Padres at that time couldn't get Ohtani, so they pivoted to Soto. 2.5 years of control for Soto, 1.5 for Ohtani. But the packages likely would have been similar. This was Shohei Ohtani. And again, Merrill was part of it. Whether he would have been part of the final deal, hard to say. We don't know. But the mere fact that they could have made that kind of deal for Ohtani, well, it just shows that, again, they missed on an opportunity. Now, if you were going to sign Ohtani, if you had that in your head, okay, then maybe you don't trade him and maybe you think we'll just keep him and do that. But they didn't sign Ohtani either. So in every step, every stage here, they fell short and they missed an opportunity. And that's why I wrote the story. People were saying, some of them in the comments, hey, whoa, we know all this. Well, no, you don't know all of it, first of all. There's some new stuff in there. And second of all, it's the whole piece together. It's everything. It's the failure to capitalize financially. It's the failure to trade him and then the failure to sign him when you could have had Ohtani for the same deal that he took from the Dodgers. Now, I don't know that Ohtani would have taken the Angels over the Dodgers, but the Angels didn't value him properly, didn't see his place in the sport properly, and it all led to all this.
Okay, you kind of hit it on the article, but I'll let you say it. Who's to blame? Who's to blame in the Angels organization ultimately?
Well, the article is about Artie Moreno and why he is the one to blame, and because he's the one, of course, as the owner, overseeing all this. He was the one who did not take advantage, full advantage of the economic benefits. He's the one who did not allow his front office to trade Ohtani. And of course, he's the one who ultimately did not sign Ohtani either. So yes, Moreno is the focal point of this, the centerpiece of this. And it just strikes me as odd. Here's a team with every possibility of going into its 10th straight losing season. That's what's going to happen here. They're going to have their 10th straight losing season. And for 6 of those, they had Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout. Ohtani was hurt for part of that. Trout was hurt for a lot of it, but they never took advantage.
Oof. And I'm also seeing in the article how Artie Moreno thought that the contract would be in the 4s. Right. It was in the 4s in net present value. So does he not understand how deferrals worked? And that's why he thought it was actually 700, but it's not?
I don't know, Scott. And Tom Verducci was the one who reported that, quoting a source saying that he thought Artie Moreno did, that the contract would be in the 4s. And you're right. In present day value, once you eliminate the deferrals or incorporate the deferrals, I should say, then yes, by both the union's calculation and the league's calculation, it's in the 400 million, 500 million range. That's where he supposedly wanted to be. My guess is, and I wrote this, that he objected to the total value, the 700 million. And that's why he made the decision not to even engage the Angels. Engage Ohtani on that particular number that he was talking about.
Do you know if Ohtani, and obviously he would be the one to ask, but saw the Angels and how they had money into Trout, how they had money into Rendon, and he said, well, that kind of locks us up. Do you think he learned that from the Angels, that I don't want my team to be locked up and I want to win? I saw what happens when it's all locked up into 2 players.
I don't know, Eric. He's never addressed that, and I am quite certain never will address that. In my opinion, and this is just me talking, he saw the whole view of the Angels. What you just mentioned, yes. Also, some of the stuff we've mentioned this year about what they do with their travel schedule, right? Leaving later than they should be leaving on certain getaway days. Just the way they went about their business overall, the way they tried to build a team, the way they developed, everything. He saw all that. He was living it. And then he sees the opportunity to join a team that is at the vanguard of all of these things, the Los Angeles Dodgers. To me, it was a pretty simple decision.
Yeah, the Jackson Merrill part of that article is certainly getting attention from Padres fans who are like, oh my gosh, thank you so much that they were not picking up on what they should actually be doing at the time. So I think the way to cap this is spinning it forward. Here we are, team's not good again, probably and should be sellers at the trade deadline. State of the Angels for a moment, like what is next for this team? You know, Trout's hurt again, unfortunately, and it just seems like the wheels are turning and nothing's actually moving forward.
I can see where you say that, Scott. They would say that they've got a better base of young talent than they've had in quite some time. And we see that to an extent. We see that in Neto and Ohapi and Jose Soriano, some of the players that might be coming, they're better off with pitching than they've been in the minor leagues than they have been in the past. But the same thing applies. Well, where are you going with it? And what are you going to do about it? Now, with Trout, even if he gets healthy and gets hot, and he wasn't really hot before he got hurt here. He was hitting home runs, but he was not hitting for average. Can you trade him at the deadline? It's going to be difficult. Off-season would be more likely if he is even willing to go. And what they should do is probably go in that direction and wait for Rendon's contract to expire, pass on Trout, or at least pass him along and get what you can out of that, at least get the contract off your books or most of it, and then go forward. But I don't see them doing that. Artie Moreno has not done things along those lines since he has been owner. And while I applaud him for wanting to be competitive, that's great, but you got to figure out how to do it. And they have not done that.
So you guys talk about as far west, we're going to come back to the East Coast here a little bit, talk a little bit about Pete Alonso. I mean, when you talk about hitters and you talk about specific things to hitters, there's a couple things that you try and teach guys. One is pitch recognition, swinging at the right pitches, and one is plate discipline. And I think Pete Alonso last year, as you talked about, struggled in that. He was swinging a lot of pitches, and you've said in this article how much he's improved. Can you expand on that a little bit, and please let the audience know, if they haven't already, how good this guy has been this year so far?
Well, what strikes me about Alonso is what struck a lot of people about Alonso this season, just how much he has improved the plate discipline. And that was the subject of that story. And what I set out to do was find out why. Like, what has he done? Does his batting eye just get that much better from one season to the next? That seemed improbable to me. And he explained, and Eric Chavez, the Mets hitting coach, explained as well, that what really happened is he got his body under control. He's staying back now. He is more efficient in his movement. He is just better positioned to see the ball, and that enables him to have better control of the strike zone, to dominate the strike zone. And when you're swinging at better pitches to hit, I don't need to tell either of you guys, obviously you're going to have a better chance of doing some damage. That is what's happened. Now, he slumped a little bit of late going into the Subway Series tonight, but overall, strikeout percentage is way down. Walk percentage is way up. He was, at the time I wrote the article, in the top 15 in changes in both those categories. And it's really been cool to see how he dedicated himself in the offseason to getting better with this. He was not happy last season. He described his swing as out of control. Well, he fixed it. And he fixed his mind by fixing his body first, and not talking about getting in shape, just the way he moved in the box, and that's what changed everything.
Wait, so he was out of control in a free agent year trying to do more? Whoa,
Shocking.
That is shocking. And people say, oh, there's no free agency curse. There's no free, like, some guys don't handle it. And I'm not saying Pete can't handle it and he can become a free agent again, but there is that level of, you hit it on the head. You just wrote it in a different way than a baseball player would say, I'm just trying to do everything. I'm trying to hit my 6 home runs tonight in one swing, and that gets your body out of control. So a calm, cool, collected polar bear probably is more under control.
Right, Eric. And you make the point about the free agent year, and it's a valid one. Guys do sometimes get out of themselves in a free agent year. And then we've seen other guys perform like never before in their free agent years too. Soto, I wouldn't call him that or say that about him, but he had a great free agent year. Alonso, maybe he did get away from himself because of that, or maybe that contributed to it. But as you mentioned, Eric, this is a free agent year too, and he seemingly has everything under control.
Hey, what do you think about the Juan Soto factor for the lineup for the Mets, right? I mean, this is a guy who obviously is going to infuse, what he does to a lineup, which is, of course, get on base, clutch hits, some swag, right? He's there. So how much of a factor do you think that's been for Pete, just to have another superstar there on board? Not like they don't have already. I mean, I know Lindor was an MVP candidate last year, but I mean, this lineup's really good looking on paper, and we're seeing that play out for a first place team.
Certainly the first 3 hitters in that lineup, that's a factor. It's a force. And we're talking about Lindor, Soto, Alonso. And when you ask statistical analysts about lineup protection. They say it's more in front of you than behind you. Alonso certainly has that this year. Lindor got off to a much better start than usual. Soto, not on fire, but still getting on base. So I'm sure that helps, but it seems to me, Scott, in this particular case, it's more Alonso doing what he needed to do to improve himself in the box. That, to me, seems to be the overriding thing, because if he was the same hitter he was last year, even with perhaps greater opportunities or more fastballs, whatever the case might be, I don't know that he'd be performing like this.
My last one, and it relates to this still, is, of course, the Subway Series going down. And Juan Soto seems to be public enemy number one in Yankee fan brains right now. For me, I mean, being in New York City about half the year, I hear his name all the time from Yanks fans. I hate him. I can't stand him. To me, I've kind of hit my point, Ken. So I'm wondering where you're at with this, because when we do reflect on the offseason that we had, talking to you about the chase, the Mets paid more money for Juan Soto, period. And everyone, including you, always said he is going to follow the money. Also, this isn't Derek Jeter. He was on the team for 1 year and brought them to the World Series. So is this kind of silly? Because when we see the reaction, we know it's going to be wild. It's going to be like this guy is a criminal, and all he did was bring them some success for a year and then got paid by someone else for it.
Well, I know the default emotion for a lot of fans is anger. And certainly, if I were a Yankee fan and I was raised to boo, which I wasn't, I was raised not to boo. But if I were a Yankee fan in that particular mindset, I'd be booing him tonight. I'd be booing him just for the heck of it. Why not? But if you look at the reality, Scott, first of all, what you said is right. I know it's only $5 million in total value, but there was a year difference in that too. So the Yankee AAV was lower, whatever. Factor in that. And if you're a Yankee fan, you're also perhaps thinking, you know what? Our team with that contract, maybe we wouldn't be better off. And that is a fair question to ask. You look at the Yankees, their offense has been great without Soto. The way they restructured it with Goldschmidt and much lesser extent Bellinger, with Grisham emerging or re-emerging now as a real force, with the younger players coming on, Ben Rice foremost among them, they're fine without Soto. So I'm sure he'll get booed. He might even thrive on getting booed. That seems to be the way Juan goes about it. But I don't know that fans should be so much in a lather. But I can't really say one way or the other. Can't really give an opinion because I'm not a fan like that. I'm a fan of the game. Obviously, I cover the sport. But I don't have an allegiance to one team. And if I did, perhaps then I wouldn't even try to be rational about it.
Yeah, and that's why fan is short for fanatic. And you failed to mention some of that money went into Max Fried, who then filled in for Garrett Cole, who's been hurt. But quick question here at the end for you. You're not really at a rivalry game. The Braves-Red Sox is not really rivalry. Some of the teams don't have that like rivalry like we have for other teams. What's your favorite one to cover over the years of all the rivalries, true rivalries?
Well, the Braves played in Boston at one point, so that's where we're getting that from. I'm with you, Erik. Well, I grew up in New York. Actually, I'm from Long Island. So when I was a kid, and I'm pretty old, I know, there was no interleague play. And in New York, we had something called the Mayor's Trophy game. And that was an exhibition game that took place during the season every year, and the Mets and Yankees would play. I grew up a Mets fan, and before anybody gets carried away, you lose that the moment you start the job, pretty much. But when they would play the Yankees, it was so exciting. And that, to me, has always stood out. Mets-Yankees, it's for ownership of the city. It's kind of like, and I wish AJ was on for this matter alone, Cubs-White Sox is a big thing, too. Same way. Dodgers-Angels, no. Giants-A's, when it was going, no. But this one, you grew up a Mets fan, then you don't like the Yankees. You grew up a Yankee fan, then you have contempt for the Mets. And I always thought that was a really cool thing, a cool rivalry. And when they played in the World Series in 2000, that was the peak of this. So that one is my favorite for personal reasons because I grew up there. Obviously, if I grew up somewhere else, maybe I'd feel differently.
I'm shocked, Ken. I can't believe you didn't say the Vetter series. The
Vetter series is cool. It's cool, but it's just not that real.
No, exactly. I'm like, we're really stretching here. I mean, I've been around, actually, fortunately, Eddie Vedder quite a bit during the Cubs run. And when I saw Vedder series, I was like, oh, is there Cubs involvement? No. It's the
Those are his
Mariners and
hometowns.
the
Yeah.
Padres. So anyway, we'll get into that later. But Ken, have a good weekend. We'll watch you this weekend, and then we'll talk to you on Monday and hear from you for Fair Territory.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Ken Rosenthal, Fair Territory, back on Monday. Obviously, just did yesterday's live show with Alana Rizzo. If you want to hear Ken's take on Pete Rose, we asked him about it the other day, and he covered it here on Fair Territory. So go check out that episode. Obviously, still super, super relevant, everything he talked about and the story that he wrote this week, too. YouTube, podcast, wherever you get it, type in Fair Territory. Be right back to cover the Dodgers and the A's and recap what happened there. Also, the Dalton rushing debate continues. Sometimes we get the asks for lightweight hoodies, and I'm like, they exist. They're awesome at Rowback.
Without a doubt. Comfort, lightweight, durability. I wear these all the time. The color schemes are absolutely phenomenal.
Go check it out. You can use the code FOUL on rowback.com for 20% off your first purchase. That's FOUL on RHOBACK.com. 20% off all shorts, hoodies, polos, and more. Go check out Rowback. We're back. Kenta Maeda's back. Minor league contract. Signs it with the Cubs, who are dealing with some pitching injuries right now. Minaga IL, Justin Steele down for the season. See if you can find a little magic here. Kratz, I learned my lesson the other day. I kind of did my, what do they call it, mea culpa. I'm like, all right, I'm going to stop telling guys your career is over, or at least I'm going to pump the brakes sometimes on it and see if it can be resurrected. Javi Baez has changed me as a person.
And yeah, but you're also on a show with two players every day that are like, this guy can do it. No way. Like, Todd still thinks he's 3 months away from working out to be able to play in the big leagues. Like, it's a mindset that if you lose that, I don't know that you ever really had it. So Kenta Maeda will give teams innings. Is he going to make an all-star team? No. But if he can give the Cubs innings with Steele out and Imanaga's, they need him back. Like, as a stable force, if you can get 3 or 4 innings out of Maeda, get it done.
It's somebody they might need along the way here. I don't think this is the end all be all, but yeah, it's an okay pickup. Nothing going to blow your mind. He's decent. He's not the same guy he used to be. So, you're going for a veteran guy that knows some of these batters. So I don't think it's the worst pickup. I think if it's a guy that's needed in case, people are out longer than they should be.
Yeah, he pitched in the National League for a while. And the thing nowadays is that, especially if you're a pitcher and you go to another team, they might make a recommendation that does change things for you. We do see that pretty frequently, no matter what place in your career you're at. No, Kratz? And especially for someone like this who really is potentially down to his last chance, right? And also he's just up there in age. They might have a rec that he takes, and it could prolong his career. Love how we hit the break and then we can't answer. Maybe. Better Than Box Scores is powered by Arena Club. Go get yourself a little slab pack. We'll talk about it later on. I'll show you one of the rips that we did. But let's start with Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, there's a million Ohtani cards on Arena Club, especially in the slab packs. But Shohei is perfect on his bobblehead nights. I mean, every time he has a bobblehead night, Todd Father, he goes off. So there's the latest one that they showed off. It was the Mr. 50-50 bobble. And of course, the place erupts and there's lines out the door and all of that for these games. But then you also get to see him put on a show. I mean, he had another huge day yesterday. Every time he's got one of these, it's like he plays up to the promo. I mean, he is a marketing person's dream, right? If you're in the marketing department for the Dodgers, you're like, hey, let's get as many Shohei handouts as possible because we know he's going to give people the best experience of their life because they're going to go. You're a kid. Imagine you're a kid. You get this thing, and then you actually get to see the guy who you're holding go off like this.
You need to have a series, like one a month, maybe like a blue jersey one, a white jersey one, like pins at the Little League World Series. Like you have a set. So this guy would just keep going off and off. Absolutely amazing. You just watch. People don't talk about his eyes. He puts his eyes to the ball and exaggerates it like Paul O'Neill used to do back in the day. I mean, it's ridiculous to watch. He is absolute stud. And yeah, just keep on with the bobbleheads. He's going to be fine if you keep doing that. Have one sliding, one catching, one throwing, one hitting, all that. Bunting, I don't care what you do. Backflip, any type of bobblehead he needs, he's going to go off, and people are going to be jumping for joy in the streets in L.A.
Let's just make sure that the bobblehead doesn't depict him hurting his shoulder. You're not supposed to slide with your hand down. You can't show it on here. You're not supposed to slide with your hand down the ground. Remember what he did in the World Series? Little boop. Because he slid like that, it could have been the 50-50 shoulder injury slide bobblehead.
Oh, wow. Kratz got dark on us.
Just right here.
Just saying. You saw it. What do you teach, Todd? You teach hands up. Hands up when you slide in. And he always slides feet first. I don't think I've ever seen him slide hands first.
No, I rarely did too. Only on if I needed to get around a guy at home plate or something like that. I remember I broke my hand when I was younger sliding in the third. My first time playing on a bigger field. It was muddy when I flipped over. I couldn't even hold the bat. I'm like, I'm never doing that again.
So if Shohei's big in big spots like that, it's like his night. He's got a lot of fanfare. Should we double down on like a hits, runs, and RBIs tonight for old Shohei? Because playing the Angeles of the Angels.
Homer.
No, they're not giving anything out. It's giveaways. Giveaways are the lock.
They need to do the giveaways during the playoffs. Do it during the playoffs.
Yeah. Right. Challenge him, Todd Father. I always play by the heat check rule, right? Like, is this a trend that is so on the money that you should just be giving something out, for every playoff game and see if he hits a homer for every playoff game? I mean, you might be watching this right now thinking it's dumb, but it is true. I mean, every time he's got something cooked up with the marketing team, it's been pretty ridiculous. Okay, the other thing I want to ask you guys about, and Kratz already actually answered this yesterday, so I'm going to see if Todd Father can give us a different answer. Oh. Todd Father, 24-year-old top catching prospect for the Dodgers, Dalton Rushing, gets called up, made his major league debut yesterday. That's a fun debut. Oh, wow. I'm on a team that won 19-2 over the A's, and I get to watch Ohtani homer on his bobble night, and Kim has been off to an awesome start. Rushing I think he saw 11 pitches in his first 2 plate appearances and only swung twice, had a hit in his second at bat. There's a nice Dalton Rushing auto that I'm sure is worth a pretty penny, but you can probably find those coming up in some slab packs.
Right there.
Right? That's nice.
That's the catcher's dream card right there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's a really cool card. Okay. Should he be up in the big leagues, Todd Father, when Will Smith is the longtime starting catcher for the Dodgers? I'm not going to tell you where each of us stand, but there was heated debate yesterday on where he's at.
Especially because we're talking about catchers, yeah.
Yeah, and let me know if you need any other context, right? Obviously, you know what Will Smith brings to the table. Rushing was hitting the crap out of AAA pitching, and he's 24 years old. So do you think that he should be up in the bigs right now, getting a start or 2 a week? He is learning some outfield, maybe get some of that action, maybe some DH action, but should he be there, or should he be marinating in the minor leagues until he can get more consistent playing time?
First off, Kratzy, wipe the snarl off your face. You look like you're going to get upset. Second,
it's the mustache. The mustache makes me look angry. I'm just as happy as I normally am.
I got
this is the same face.
Scotty, How many more years does Will Smith have on his contract?
$1 billion. I mean, 7 or 8 or 9.
He's got a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, this is tough. Oh, this is really hard.
So should Rushing sit in the minors until he's 35? I mean, obviously, the boys yesterday, Kratz and AJ said you got to trade him. But as you know, you can't just magically snap your fingers and trade someone. And you want to have depth just in case there's a problem. So what do you do?
You want to have depth. Yes, you bring his behind up and you platoon both of them, in my opinion. You platoon them both. You give Will 4, you give him 2, maybe, give Shohei an off day.
What?
I don't know. He's hitting that well. Screw trading him. Keep him. Let's see what he does right now with the Dodgers. Yeah, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Cheers.
You're giving Shohei at bats off because dude hit 25 homers in the minor leagues? No. The reason, exactly what Scott just said, proves our point. You need depth. You don't know what's going to happen. No position is more volatile than that one in the field. Obviously, pitching, the Dodgers and the Rays, they break all their pitchers. But catching, you want depth? What did Austin Barnes do to deserve to be DFA'd? People are going to be like, oh, he was only hitting 214. His OPS plus was 44. I get that. My guy is playing once every 6 days. Before, he was playing once every 5 days. But since they go on a 7-man rotation, he only gets to catch one of these dudes. And he's catching and receiving at an elite level. Will Smith is part of your star-studded all-star lineup. Will Smith does not need days off for Dalton Rushing to get to play instead. Unless Will Smith is like, you know what, I'm going to be like Mookie. I'm going to go play some second base. I'm going to go play some right field. No, Will Smith is your starting catcher. Dalton Rushing is a future big league starting catcher based on what he has done in the minor leagues.
Okay, first off.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, first off, I mean, Top Father, I don't feel like that was a really good voiceover impression because he's like, oh, what are you going to say? A 44 OPS plus? No, it's a 47 OPS plus from Austin Barnes. And according to your math, if Dalton Rushing's only getting a couple starts a week, he's going to be a bad hitter at the plate. I bet you he's going to be a better offensive contributor to a team that, wait, hold up, might not win the division or might have to fight for it till the end. And those at-bats make a difference. And you want him there. And also, injuries happen. They seem to happen even more so with the Dodgers. So if
everything worked out,
down
everything
for some time like he did last year, you've got a guy that can come in here, Top Father, in Rushing and be a really good starting catcher if he lives up to what he's supposed to be. So don't you need that depth? The Angels have Ohapi and Darno.
You can't bring him up and not play him. That would be a problem for me. Like knowing how good he is. Like they're bringing this guy up, to sit the bench? No, this is why I'm sitting here. I do not know the answer to this question because I am not in the LA organization, but for knowing minor league guys and being a guy they brought up and didn't play at all, that stinks. It screws up your mind a little bit, and all of a sudden, everything changes a little bit. You can go back down and struggle, but you bring this guy up knowing he's going to play, and they have a lot of decisions to make with him for sure right now.
What if he gets 2 starts a week at catcher and 1 start a week in the outfield? So now we're up to about half the week. Is that enough?
No, I don't think so.
He's never not played. He's never not played. I would love if they did this, not for his career, but for my mental clarity. Because I always feel like you take the best player and you only play him 2 or 3 days a week when his entire career, whether for Dalton Rushing, it's been 3 years in the minor leagues, or it's Shohei Ohtani for 10 years in the big leagues. You take them out of the lineup 4 of the 6 days that you guys play games, their numbers are not going to be very good. Mm-hmm. And to do that to a young player, you are stunting his growth. You are stunting his value to the organization. And God forbid, something does happen to Will Smith. Now he steps in as a starter. Who's going to back him up? Is that person better than Austin Barnes? where you had that depth. He was still playing in the minor leagues. I get it. It sucks. Everybody's had a good career in the minor leagues, wants to go up to the big leagues. Bide your time. Then all of a sudden, you're bringing somebody up that isn't as good as Austin Barnes that was in AAA. I question it. Maybe we're making a mountain out of a molehill here, but it's just something that I would not do, but it's a new way of looking at how guys call up prospects instead of calling up that AAA fill-in guy.
Yeah, the Dodgers have a really talented team, and they're not going to be able to find playing time for everyone if they keep pumping out high-end prospects like this, which they're doing, I think, better than ever, which is crazy because they keep winning. So you pick the back of the draft, you have less money to spend in the draft, but it's happening. So they're like, eventually, we can't just trade everyone away if they're good. But I see both sides here. I'm just saying I'm very much on the 24 years old. Let's have him experience the big leagues and go from there. If he can't hit a lick because he's only playing 2-3 times a week, we can talk, but let's at least see what happens. And it is a big deal because somebody got DFA'd who it was a big part of the organization for a long time, and someone who's a big part of the minor league system now gets called up. But yes,
look at Trent Grisham. Sorry. Look at Trent Grisham. What did he do last year in limited time?
Struggle.
What is he doing this year in not limited time? Same
Not
player,
struggle.
not struggle as much. That's it. I'm not saying he's going to hit 300 on the season. I'm not saying he's going to be an all-star or anything. The more you play, the better you'll have better results because you can do what Max Muncy and Brett Boone were talking about yesterday. You can stack at bats. How am I going to face this guy the second, third time through the order instead of, oh no, we're losing 3-1. Someone's going to pinch hit for me.
I see your point. I do think that it's obviously better for him to get consistent ABs, but at some point you got to let the dude play and see what happens, or at least let him face big league competition. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. First off, let's show the card again. Nice. Very nice. That's the 2023 Panini Chronicles Obsidian Auto. Fresh. 10 out of 10 too, whoever's got that card. So you can probably find that, John, on Arena Club in the marketplace and add it to your showroom. Also, there are slab packs. And here's what it looks like when you're ripping a pack digitally. Boom.
So cool.
You rip it, and there's a little Bobby Witt. How you doing? I like it. Wait for it to come back so we can get a nice look at the front. Nice. There you go. So anyway, that's what you can do on Arena Club. Use the code FOUL to receive 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase at arenaclub.com/FOUL. Card purchase or slab pack. We just showed you what the slab packs look like. These are real cards that you're getting in your digital showroom. You want the card physically to show off to your friends. They get it mailed to you. You want to sell it or do anything else with it. This is where you get rid of all the clunky physical work that you have to do with mailing it and everything else. Like, it already gets done within the app. This is where everyone should be. So go check it out. FT fam, we'll be right back. We're going to talk about Ronald Acuña Jr.'s apology to the Braves. Let's hit the Hall of Fame app parlay of the day because Kratz started this journey a few days ago. Todd Father got rained out, and then yesterday had that parlay do for you, Kratz, that you got hooked up with the HOF app.
Somebody on the screen was like, I don't know about that one. I'm going against you. He's best looking person on the screen, but it's okay. The app just gives you the best odds that your parlay will hit or not, and it helps you kind of like, shift. Hey, you know what? You might not want to go 7 strikeouts. But in this case, it was just kind of plopped out the equation and was like 7 strikeouts for both deGrom and Hunter Brown based on the matchups. Got you cooking a nice parlay. Got him.
I think they're going to use that as their catchphrase. We plop out great parlays. Check out the HOF.
What it does.
Right. No, you're right. You won. Hey, you won. My noggin lost. So what do you got tonight?
I got a little over-under, John. a little over-under parlay, and it's based on the fact that the numbers say the St. Louis and KC game, Cardinals versus the Royals, will be over 8.5, and the Washington-Baltimore game, two offenses that are struggling, will be under. Parlay them. Now, obviously, that number plus 425 is not – when you go to the app, that number is based on something else. I won't explain it, but you can learn all this stuff on the app. It's plus 256. It's an easy parlay that they put together. It really hits based on the matchups, plus 256.
Boom. Lock that in on BetMGM. And for a limited time, FT Fam can get a 7-day free trial on the HOF app. You also get yourself 50% off your first month. You can see it right now on the screen. There's the QR code for you as well. You got to use FOUL at checkout. Download the HOF app on iOS or Android. Enter code FOUL, and you are all set. Good luck on your bets tonight. We'll go over our locks later, too. Coming up next, Gary Phillips covers the Yanks on a daily basis, and he's going to tell us what to expect on Darth Soto returning to the Bronx. And here we go. Gary Phillips joining us right now as we head into what is, at the moment, the biggest series of the regular season for both the Mets and the Yankees. Of course, there's the rivalry side of things, but Gary, the return of Juan Soto is a pretty big deal here. So you can follow Gary at Gary H. Phillips, beat writer for the New York Daily News. Gary, great to have you on here. Tell us what to expect.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me on, guys. I would expect a lot of boos. I think, Juan had a quote recently that it was going to be maybe 50,000 versus 1. I don't know if it's going to be exactly that. I'm sure Mets fans will make their way into the Bronx and pack Yankee Stadium a little bit, but there'll definitely be some noise. It's not going to be like last year where Yankee fans were cheering back and forth with him, and he was going back at him, and they were waving Dominican flags all around the bleacher creatures. I would not expect any of that. This is not going to be friendly territory for him tonight anymore.
Is there a possible scenario that he could have left and not gotten booed? Because don't forget, this man was an MVP candidate. He took them to the World Series that the Yankees haven't been to since 2009. Is it because he signed with the Mets, or is it because he signed with any other team than the Yankees? He was going to get booed no matter what.
I'm sure there's a Mets element to it. I don't know if he comes back as a Toronto Blue Jay, is he getting booed as much as he might tonight and over the next 3 days? I don't know. Who's to say? Maybe if he signs with the Dodgers, it's a very similar treatment that he's going to get tonight. I think there's definitely something to the Subway Series rivalry, the big brother, little brother element that's always existed between these two teams in this city. I think that's going to add to it tonight.
Does that mean the Mets are in Yankees fans' heads?
That I wouldn't know. It seems like there's definitely been a lot of back and forth on social media with regards to Soto this season. It seems like every thing he does, whether it's if it's good, Mets fans are making a huge deal out of it. If it's bad, maybe a defensive blunder or something like that, or being outperformed by Trent Grisham, Yankees fans make a big deal of that on social media. I don't know if Mets fans are in their heads or vice versa, anything like that, but it definitely seems like the Soto element to this rivalry has magnified things a little bit.
You talk about magnifying. For a guy that's been a part of them on both sides, I think it's truly special. The Subway Series is one of a kind. Do you see this one, though, in recent years, this one being a little more significant and understandable? Like, this is for big-time bragging rights, because at the end of the year, no matter what happens, one side's going to get over on the other. Do you see this one being probably one of the biggest Subway Series of all?
It certainly feels like that going into it. I mean, not only do you have the Soto-ness of it all, but like both teams are in first place. Both teams are seen as championship contenders. They're financial heavyweights. You've got all these other, cross-team ties with, Carlos Mendoza, Clay Holmes. I mean, the relationship, guys have with Aaron Boone from playing with him previously. So there's a lot of different storylines here that make this an enticing matchup aside from Juan Soto. And then obviously Juan Soto is just a huge storyline with anything that he does.
So for a long time, obviously, the Yankees have run the city with baseball, and this goes back, 100-something years at this point, or whenever year they existed and started things up. I feel like, growing up in the tri-state area, you see Mets fans root for the Mets, but also keep a very close eye on the Yankees. With Yankee fans, it was kind of a mix. Obviously, the Mets haven't had nearly the success. Do you think that changes now? I'm not saying Mets fans are going to stop paying attention to the Yankees, but do you think Yankee fans over the next, let's call it 5 years for now, are paying very close attention to the Mets? Because despite them spending some money elsewhere this offseason that has worked out really well, like on Max Fried, if the Mets have more success over the next 5 years than the Yankees do, there are going to be a lot of fingers pointing at Hal Steinbrenner for not being able to keep a guy that he traded for and then got outbid by second fiddle in the city in baseball.
Well, I think it started a couple of years ago, when Steve Cohen introduced himself with, these crazy spending sprees and showed that he can be a financial behemoth. He's been, in some years, a bigger financial behemoth, and the Mets have been one, more so than the Yankees. I think that's when it really started to change that, Yankee fans and the Yankees are paying attention to what the Mets are doing because they're a threat in free agency. And now, like I said, they're playing amazing baseball. They're a first place team as well. They're a championship contender. Like they're a threat in every sense of the word. So you're going to pay attention to them no different than you would pay attention to a division rival or, the way the Yankees have paid attention to what the Dodgers have done the last several years. I think that dynamic started to kind of shape and shift a couple of years ago with Steve Cohen, taking full control of the team.
Is there any team animosity? Yes, we've been talking about fans, ownership, team animosity. I mean, you heard Judge say, or Soto say, yeah, I changed my phone number. So we had the whole who dis, change my number. Nobody from the Yankees was calling Juan Soto during the offseason. Judge is the leader of that team. Is there any animosity between the team, or is it just going to be hugs and kisses before the game?
I don't think there's necessarily any animosity. I think a lot of players understand that Juan did what he thought was best for himself and best for his family. I don't think any player is going to want to be in the situation that Juan put himself in and earned for himself this past offseason. Judge went through it a couple of off seasons ago himself. So I think these guys, particularly the ones who have been to free agency, get it. I do think the rivalry element of it, the Yankees versus Mets thing, that's definitely more of a fan-driven thing than it would be a player-driven thing. And like I said, you've got other guys on the Mets, on the Yankees who have played for the other team, who have played for the other manager. So, I don't think there's too many hard feelings there.
What would you want to ask, and maybe what have you already spoken to, Yankees players and or brass about Juan Soto? Take me back to when that all went down, right? And he actually signed with the Mets and what the sentiment was. And I know eventually they talked about how, what was it? Judge didn't have Soto's new phone number, all that fun drama that we had. But, what did you hear back then? And what would you want to know about now that it's been, a little bit of time? You let it simmer for a little bit after it actually happened.
Yeah. As far as what I heard back then is kind of what everybody else has heard is that, Juan changed his number and guys weren't necessarily able to get through to him during his free agency. As far as what I would want to know, I'd like to know if there is anybody that actually did get in touch with him, guys who are current Yankees, what they might have said precisely, what their pitch might have sounded like. I also would be curious, just what were guys' genuine initial in the moment reactions when they saw the final number? Because I think most of us in the baseball world, our eyes popped out of our heads. Did guys expect a number like that? Did guys think it might be fake or a joke? Or because when Juan first went to free agency, or even leading up to free agency, we were talking about 500 million, 600 million, and that seemed astronomical. But there was at least expectations set for it. So I'm curious, like, how guys genuinely reacted in the moment when those first reports and tweets surfaced.
You talk about joke numbers. Aaron Judge right now, this is completely off the Juan Soto topic. Aaron Judge right now is making first team in like high school stats if he's putting up what he's doing in high school. He's doing it in the big leagues. Is there a reaction in the clubhouse when not only visiting teams come in, but just his own Yankee teammates, that a dude that's had MVPs, has done what he's done, and then he goes to, I want to get this right, he has a 258 OPS plus. He's 158% better than the average player in the big leagues.
Yeah, my first 2 years on the beat, I think post game, Judge would do something amazing, have a huge home run, make a great catch. Post game, it was a lot of like, oh my God, we can't believe this. This year, I feel like it's way more like, yeah, this is what he does, and it's another day at the office, and he's just playing a different game at a different level than everybody else. I feel like there's like less shock and awe this year because he's just established, like, this is who he is. This is what he does. It doesn't matter if he's got a Juan Soto in front of him or not. You saw that in 2022. Yeah, I think it's more teetering toward the edge of like, we have nothing left to say that's descriptive or groundbreaking. But Boone says it all the time. Like, we're running out of descriptors and adjectives for him. And I think that's true.
That's a good point. I mean, last I checked, he's still above 400, right?
Yep.
411.
Where are we at? 411?
Yeah. 2 for 5. 2 for 5, and his batting average goes down.
It's crazy what he's doing right now. I mean, we were at the end of April, and his average was higher than the date.
Yeah, damn.
420,
That's
bro.
Right. That's incredible. Well, Gary, enjoy this one. It's going to be a fun series, obviously, just as much for the fanfare as it is for what goes down on the field with two very good teams right now, which is always fun for the city. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, looking forward to the series and appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah, of course. Definitely give Gary a follow. He's all over the Yanks at Gary H. Phillips. And there he's posting his articles and all that as well. Be right back. This is a straightforward show, so I'm going to be very straightforward with everyone about PXG. Fastest way to improve your performance on the golf course is to get yourself a PXG golf fitting. Go in there and let the experts help you.
I've been using PXG for a few years now, Scotty. They are perfect. I love the way they feel. They fit them perfectly to my swing. They weighted them. They put grips in them. They put shafts in them. They use their heads, and they fit my swing beautifully. They have definitely improved my game. They just recently hooked me up with their new Allen putter, which is off the chain. I was draining putts the other day, left and right. So I definitely say go get your fitting at PXG. Nobody goes golf the way PXG does.
Yes, and for a limited time, you could save up to 20% on your entire order. Head over to pxg.com/foul. That's pxg.com/FOUL to save up to 20% on your entire order. pxg.com/foul. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Hey, we're back for a moment. Todd, Father, I can ask you because you've seen some Yankee games live recently. Are you surprised the way that some teams have been attacking Aaron Judge? And whatever, call me soft as a pseudo, manager on this show, trying to act like I'm going to tell all my pitchers, hey, avoid him at all costs. I'm not saying bases loaded, tight game. You got to walk him, although maybe you think about it. But should he be getting, the simple question, more of the Barry Bonds treatment? It's been a theme on our show, and I don't know if we've asked you lately.
100%. He's getting pitches to hit. He's driving the ball. Everybody always talks about like the playoffs. He's had a great run in the playoffs, before last year, in my opinion. I don't mean to jump from thing to thing. He's a great regular season hitter. He's phenomenal. Kratzy, you can attest to this. When we played in 17. How good was he? He was driving the ball all over the place. But yes, he is an absolute beast of a player. People forget his size, his stature, how far he can hit the ball. He hit one 460 the other day. He's just an absolute beast, and he's not missing these pitches too often when he's getting them. And I think that's the difference right now going into this year, because we always talk about getting one pitch to hit. He gets that one pitch. If he misses it, he still has an opportunity to get on base and walk. He is in a hitter's count every time he hits. I don't care if it's 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, just the way he is and the way pitchers know that guy can hit. Be careful with him.
No, the movie's back. We got a problem, Todd Father. So let me know if I can enter the office. I want to be respectful.
You come on in anytime you need.
Okay. All right. It's good to see you. I appreciate everything that you do for me. And, I wanted to know not just your thoughts about this whole Pete Rose situation, right? We know we bet on baseball. And for those that think that he only bet on wins, yeah, I mean, he didn't bet on every game. So you essentially bet on losses too. But anyway, Marty Brennaman, legend in Cincinnati, wonderful person too, who called Reds games for decades, 1974 through 2019. You heard him on the radio, at least for me, the last couple decades. Said he was pissed that this didn't happen, the reinstatement, while Pete was alive. I'll give you one quote here, Don, before you can give me your answer. He said, "I just felt that he had served his jail time, if you will, far longer than he really should have had to do it. And the fact that they rushed to make him eligible within a matter of months, to me, was the wrong way to go about doing business." When they say made him eligible, obviously after he had passed, in September, they have the meeting in December, boom, now he's eligible for the Hall of Fame and activated. What do you think about how this all went down? We talked about it a lot this week. Haven't gotten your thoughts yet.
Well, listen, I'm going to talk basically about him as a baseball player and Hall of Fame. I'm not talking about anything else off the field. I'm not talking about anything. As a person, I know as a person, he's a great guy. I've met him a bunch of times. He's absolutely phenomenal, dude. For me, I agree with Marty 100% on everything he said. He should have been in the Hall of Fame before he died. It's been years and years. I don't have the exact years, but it's been 30 plus years, close to 40 years of him getting this. And did he make a mistake? Yeah, he did. He made a huge mistake. I don't think he should have been reinstated in baseball. I think he should have been in the Hall of Fame, and I'm going to stick with that. I think now all of a sudden he passed away, and right away pretty much you're going to say, oh, we can reinstate him. I think it's bad taste. It's a bad flavor in a lot of people's mouth, and especially in the Ohio area and the Queen City. This guy is beloved there, and he's beloved all over the Midwest and in baseball. And, you're going to have your naysayers out there, and that's just part of the world and part of how everybody is. But for me, as a baseball player, him not getting in the Hall of Fame before he passed away, that's a tough pill to swallow, because he is the greatest hitter right now in baseball because he has the most hits. I'm not saying eventually, I'm saying there's guys right now that most likely will, top that and, be better hitters. But this dude had so many hits. I don't know if anybody's going to catch him in that category. He's had so many quotes, and he's helped so many people out in the game of baseball. He has served his jail time, per se, in the game because of this. And I think, he definitely deserved to be in the Hall of Fame before he passed away. And I think it's of bad taste right now, to be honest.
So, yeah, Marty Brennaman's pointing out the timing, right? And, I mean, we talked about this earlier in the week. Of course, there was timing with President Trump meeting with Rob Manfred. I'm sure that's why he ultimately made the decision here. Would you have rather not seen him ever reinstated, or is this still better than never getting reinstated, right? Because, you've got different sides of the spectrum here. I'm sitting in AJ's seat today. AJ this week is very adamant that the betting on baseball thing for him means I never want you involved again. It's like the cardinal sin rule. And everybody's got their own opinions that get respected. We had Pete Rose's lawyer on yesterday who was like, I respect what you're saying. Here's where I'm coming from. But for you, as somebody who's pro Pete Rose, activation, Hall of Fame, the whole thing, is it better at least that he got reinstated now and that the political pressure did, at least allow him to get some more love from, his family, who now gets to see him at least, back in quote good graces with baseball and able to be voted into the Hall of Fame if that happens? Or you're like, well, if you decided to say this to him during the days that he was alive, then you should have just stuck with your decision.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. I can't speak for his family, nor would I ever. For me, though, it's like, okay, he was alive. We could have done this years ago. But again, like I said, you guys, I know AJ was a big component about the whole thing. Guys take steroids and they're back in 80 games. I think steroids is even worse, in my opinion. And there's not a harsher penalty for that. We can go back and forth on this debate. Everybody has their opinions and their thoughts and beliefs. Right now I'm just like, okay, put him in. But to me, it wouldn't be the same. It would be great, but still, I thought it should have happened a while ago.
Yeah, I feel like, Kratz, the way that Todd Father's talking is the passion that you're seeing from a lot of people that are not just pro Pete Rose in this debate, but people that are actually either from Cincinnati or spent a lot of time in Cincinnati. That's the passion I'm feeling. Like, we got some of this from C. Trent Rosecrans the other day to ask him, hey, what are you seeing from people around town? And it sounded like the way Todd Father's talking.
Spot on. You spend time all around there. I mean, they just had Pete Rose Day, 5/14, May 14th. They had Pete Rose Day, honoring him. He is a legend in that city, and Todd experienced it for, 6 years? 5 years? So, yeah, I mean, and Todd is one of the legends. Never on the same level as Pete Rose, but he's one of those guys, and that's who's talked about. And you know what? That's why everybody's opinion on this can be very heated, but it is everybody's opinion. Everyone has a different opinion on it.
It's kind of wild. I know this is not off topic, but a topic that we didn't really cover this week. We mentioned it, but Shoeless Joe Jackson is also reinstated. I mean, he's been dead for like almost 3/4 of a century, I think. There are conspiracy theories around if he was really that involved on that 1919 Black Sox scandal. So I wonder how that will be perceived. Pete definitely bet on baseball. He admitted to that. Like, that's in one category. So if you're against that, you're against that. But if you're like, hey, I know that, he was punished just like the rest of them, but I'm buying into some of these conspiracy theories and I'm looking at the way that he performed in those games, maybe he gets in and Pete doesn't. I know it would be crazy, but it's possible.
Watch the movie. The movie will kind of sheds a different light. Get it? It's a movie. I think it's actually called The Black Sox.
Read the book, too. 8 Men Out. Is that what you're talking about?
8 Men Out.
8 Men Out,
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, it is what it is. It's over with now because he's deceased. And that's the tough part to swallow for me. Like, knowing all of a sudden now they're going to make a rule saying since you're deceased, we can reinstate you. I don't know. I think the people in Cincinnati didn't like that at all.
And the thing is, yeah, I mean, this suddenly was determined, even though we've had cases like this in the past. Yeah. Shoeless Joe Jackson was a superstar player. I didn't get to watch him play. I don't think anybody right now covered Shoeless Joe Jackson at this point in the early 1900s. But if they really felt this strongly about it, it's really impeccable timing that all of a sudden, Kratz, we get this decision. Everyone's good. Everyone's good now. Once you die, that's our limit. That's our mark. Death. And then you're back in.
They could have never let any of those players in while Pete was still alive. Maybe they could have allowed it before Pete got caught with his scandal, and then, if they had all passed away, but they didn't all. I don't think they were all deceased by the time Pete had, done hit or got caught for his infraction. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what Todd said.
Tough. It's tough, man. It's tough to talk about. It is. It's hard because we didn't play with him. We didn't, I got to know him. I mean, I don't know if you ever met him. Like, I've known him personally. I could call him on the phone and be like, hey, man, I'm struggling. Talk to me a little bit. Like, that's the relationship I had. So maybe I'm a little biased, of course, but what are they going to make rules for guys that did other things in sports when they pass away? Are they going to be able to come back? and get into the Hall of Fame. So it's a sticky little line that, you know, Manfred is kind of going around here. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yep.
I think time will pass and everything will get back to normal again.
And the only thing I'll stand by, because this is the only point that I feel strongly about that I can say I feel right about, is the decision changed because of a meeting, okay? They weren't going, you know what? After he dies, yeah, let's do that, right? There was a meeting. It was very recently, and then they flip-flopped, period. That's it. Let someone come on our show and tell me otherwise. No freaking way. So
Rob knows. Rob knows who can butter his bread.
And hey, like Pete's lawyer said yesterday, it doesn't hurt to have any president on your side in an argument. Totally agree with that, right? I'm just saying, like, Rob didn't make this decision. You know, they had a meeting. They said this would put you in good graces. Make this call, and they did. Done. Okay, don't tell me anything else.
Rob doesn't want his antitrust agreement that is a legally federal binding antitrust agreement to go away. He wants to keep it exactly how it is. And if you're conversating with the old Prez of the United States, it works.
If I was CEO of the league, like Manfred, I would have done the same thing, because your job is to keep the league in a good spot and make as much money as possible for the league. That is your number one job these days as a commissioner. So I would have done the same thing. I'm just saying the point of this show is that we can say whatever we want. So I'm just telling you the real story is there's a meeting and Trump's a big Rose fan, and that's great. And so that's what creates this. So I don't blame any of that, but that's how you actually get something done like this. Otherwise, they were just going to let it linger forever. All right, FT fam, we're coming back to go over Ronald Acuña Jr. talking about the tweet, or the, what was it, an Instagram post or a tweet? The social post heard around Major League Baseball from a few weeks ago. What's good? We're back. Hey, we're probably not going to have time for it anywhere else, but we've got Rivalry Weekend coming up this weekend. Some of these rivalries are great. I know I was poking fun at the Padres and Mariners because, I mean, you're not going to line up every team the way you want it to, but, I mean, it is fun to get all of the geographical rivalries all in one weekend. So what do you guys like? Besides, let's take out the bias, or let's take out the ones that, you know, Yanks, Mets for Todd Father. What else? Give me something else that you think's cool.
Listen, I've been a part of this one. The Ohio Cup is pretty cool, man. Cleveland versus Cincinnati. There's some bragging rights over there, you know, as far east as possible against as far west. I've been in the Cubs crossed. I've been, you know, think of it. I've been in a bunch of them. This is pretty cool. So, yeah, I would go with the Ohio Cup. There's a little bragging rights right there.
I mean, the greatest state in the union is Pennsylvania. So obviously, because of all the New Jersey teams that are out there. We're talking about rivalry in Major League Baseball here, Todd, not, you know, some kind of like blueberry or raspberry farm.
Yeah,
cranberry.
let me go buy a ticket to Pittsburgh Philly game right now.
The best part of the Pittsburgh Philly rivalry is when they don't score. Because we got the poop series. It says poop in the upper left-hand screen for the entire – I'm hoping for an under. I'm hoping for like first 5-0 runs in that game. It's the poop series.
You know what? That's smart marketing too, Todd Father. I think at one point it was going to go away, and then I was following it on one of the, you know, awful announcing kind of sites, and then it's back, and I'm like, leave it. I mean, keep the thing uniform. It's not a bad word, and it creates virality for the sport whenever that's going on. I guarantee you tonight you'll see it across socials. Poops back.
If there's a way to spell out fart, it would be better, because everybody smiles when they think of farts.
We'll work on that. All right, here we go. We're back. We're talking about Ronald Acuña Jr. And an apparent apology that was made recently as he's getting close to returning, maybe another week or so until we get Acuña back, week and a half with the Braves. So remember, I mean, you have to take us back here a few weeks when he said, if it were me, they would take me out of the game, talking about Jared Kelenic and how he pimped, what was it? A single, I guess it turned into, and then he's out at second.
He got thrown out at second base.
Yeah. So we talked a lot about that part. Now let's spin it forward here. Mark Bowman tweet. Acuña says he apologized to Snitker and his teammates for the social media post. He blamed the frustration he felt as he remained unavailable while the team was losing. I actually like this. I mean, obviously I like when a player speaks his mind, but then the apology part of this and why, it's like, team's losing a little, I'm anxious to go play ball. Like Kratz always mentions how Acuña wants to play winter ball. He wants to play. I mean, this is, if I'm a fan, this is the kind of guy I want on my team. He's sitting there. He's so pissed. He's got to do something. So he's doing it on socials.
Yeah. I got to jump in here. I don't agree with you at all. I got to be honest. Were you being funny or was I?
No. I'm not talking about if it was right or wrong to do the social post.
Okay.
My point is now it happened. Okay. Do you like the way that he apologized and said, hey, it's just tough to sit at home and watch my team play? I mean,
I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
Okay.
But to make that the excuse of why you said that, I would have to disagree. So some things are better left unsaid, in my opinion, but I don't think it's that big of a deal that we need to harp on it. But yeah, I want to play. Yeah, I love that. But to kind of blame that on the comment you made, I mean, I would hope Kratzy's on my side here.
100%. You know how people are like, that guy, he gets a little loose with the tongue when he's drinking. That's just because your inhibitions are down.
Yeah.
That wasn't just like, what? He didn't run it out? Oh, man, I wonder if that was me. I never even really thought about that. No, he feels slighted. He said that.
Yes.
Is he upset he's not playing? Yeah, he's upset he's not playing. That's not why he said it. That, to me, and only he can answer this, to me, that was pent up. And he's felt that way. Maybe he feels, in some superstars, they feel like they should be treated differently or they should be treated a certain way. To me, that it just boiled over in a tweet or a post.
I thought it was fun and funny.
Fun.
Well, just like Pat said, hey, if you're drinking and you might say something, right? I mean, for him, that's watching games.
Many times.
Yeah, right. Acuña, though, for him, it's watching games. The dude loves to play.
That's great.
He's watching the team following. He's pissed that he's on the sidelines. I get what you guys are saying, okay? And do I think that Acuña genuinely feels that way? Yes. But I'm saying the reason that he took it to, I'm going to actually post about it, does have to do with him actually paying attention to the team, the quotes, the whole thing. It's not like he's just, I mean, in La La Land, the best example that I can come up with, because I know this was true, when Yoenis Cespedes was hurt, they didn't know where he was. He was out in the pasture with in the farm and partying, whatever the heck he was doing. He couldn't tell you one thing about the team. Acuña's I know the plays. I know what people are saying. Obviously, it's the social media world that's changed even since that time period, but Cespedes and Acuña, in terms of paying attention and wanting to play again.
Cespedes can still play, I think, right now. If he had an opportunity, he'd go out and hit 30 homers.
He tried. He tried. He tried to get a tryout. I don't think anybody wants that act. But Acuña made this about him. Zero of this incident, zero of what was going on in the field had anything to do with Acuña. And yet he chose to be like, hey, everybody, look at me. I'm not getting any attention. I am mad. I am being treated poorly.
There you go.
Well, he got attention. And then we also found out that there were a lot of little things that caused him to get benched a couple times that we didn't even know about initially. So you ask for a microscope, you get a microscope, and he's okay with it. But obviously I'm biased because I just thought it was a fun topic. But
there you go.
I can see where it hits. So what would, okay, last thing, because we only got 30 seconds. What would have been the right apology? 30 seconds. What, because you want him to apologize. He did. What would you have wanted him to say? I'm wrong for saying that. Like, he believes what he believes.
I'm wrong for posting it. That's it.
Yeah.
Okay. I shouldn't have posted it.
They know
who he is.
I didn't
Their
mean it. And I
teammates know
shouldn't have
him.
posted it. Yeah.
Okay. He did say that he apologized for posting it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Be right back. Slap hands time, baby. BetMGM locks free games of the day. The Rivalry Weekend preview means that you can watch almost every game. Not all of them, but almost every game will be inside the BetMGM app. So you can go check out what's available there. So much more than one that we usually go over. Live streaming available to all BetMGM customers logged in with funded accounts. Yesterday, Kratz, banger on his pick. AJ's parlay hits. I went against them, so I lost. Fade me. I'm down a lot, but I might go with the AJ treatment today. Actually, yeah, so I'll go first because I'll keep it nice and simple. Phillies and Pirates, yeah, we know which team's better. I'm going to go on the Phillies side of the equation here and pick a dub for them against Andrew Heaney, who's actually been really good this year, but a little less lately. Last few starts, they're starting to get to him, so I'll see if the Phillies can keep that train rolling. Run line for me, and I'll put it all down. Todd Father, put me down for 9 hundo because I'm down 803, so 9 hundo, so I can get back in the pluses if that happens.
Wow! Oh my God! Yeah, I was wondering how
probably the biggest I've ever done.
Up in the green, he was down so much. It must have been on a hot streak. I'm going Yankees money line tonight, minus 135, 405 to win 3. They're going to start off hot today. They're going to get on them early and often.
Going with the hottest team in baseball. The Twinkies, the Twins, are rolling into Milwaukee, and they have their hottest pitcher in Joe Ryan going, who has absolutely dealt his last 3 times out. I even kind of like a little bit of an under here, but I went money line. Money line was at like, I think minus 115, so it's an easy 115 to win, or maybe even 120. 120 to win 100. 120 to win 100. Hottest team, as my New Jersey buddy Todd says, yo, the hot team, yo, you just got to keep rolling with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I got to see this Pap pick explanation, so we'll do that after slap hands because we're running low on time right now. But get yourself a home run boost token to activate that token when you bet on any player to hit a home run in any MLB game. You got to be inside that BetMGM app. If the player goes deep, you get a bigger payout. Gambling problem or concern, call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll come back. We'll slap. We'll talk a little bit about the weekend, and then we'll get Pap's pick. So Darth Coat in the chat said, what about a Pirates-Mariners piss series? So you could have a 5-1 score in favor of Seattle. P15S. I feel like that's me at the eye doctor the other day. P15S.
Poops and farts are just a little bit funnier than piss.
Yeah.
Why? I have no idea. Why? I have no idea. Like, if you even hear a fart, think about it. You just hear, people are like, okay.
Scott loves it in here. I let him go in here all the time with Scott. He enjoys it.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it creates, it's like a sound bath in there. It creates these vibrations across the entire facility. That's why probably the audience drops off in the last few minutes of the show. I finally figured it out. It took me a while. But next week, Matt Carpenter on Monday just announced his retirement. So all the tea from Matt Carpenter over the course of his career is coming out on Monday. And Pistol Pete, Polar Bear Pete, Wednesday next week.
Let's go.
How you doing?
Double down.
Let's go. Pete's coming back.
Let's get old bathroom Pete. Old got a ball for Mr. Senga Pete. I mean, one time. Show up on time, Pete.
You saw that, Todd? Did you
no,
see
I
that?
didn't. No.
Oh, man. We got a minute, so I'll tell you real quick. So, because we talked about it the other day, we're going to ask Pete about it. So they delayed the game for like 10 minutes to talk about this pitch clock violation before the inning started. Pete wasn't out there in time. He came out like 2 seconds later. And so they gave ball 1 to Senga. And Pete was in the dugout. I think he was coming from the bathroom, if I had to guess. And it's not like he does that once a year, maybe. So they met about it, the umps. Then they made the call. Then Mendoza came out to talk about it. So the 2 seconds turned into 10 minutes. And they could have just given him, a one-time bathroom exception.
God almighty. They need bathroom exceptions now for the clock. That's going to be a new rule in about a week. We'll figure it out.
0 chill by the umpires. 0 chill.
Oh, man. Hey, it's going to go by how many wipes you take. That's going to be the point.
Good transition.
Investigation next week. We'll talk to Pete about it.
What's up, my people of FT, all my gamblers of FT, and my FT boys at the desk? What's happening? So, today, I don't know if this is a misprint or what, but the Arizona Diamondbacks are playing the Colorado Rockies at home, and the line for the Arizona Diamondbacks RBIs is 5.5. So, yeah, I got to go with that, and it's plus 105 or minus 105. And I'm going to put 300 on it, and we're going to sit back, we're going to have a drink, and we're going to watch the Arizona Diamondbacks score about 8 to 10 runs off the Colorado Rocks tonight. Cheers, and let's get that weekend cheese.
Cheers, Pap. I like the way he introed us, too, Todd Father. He's like, and my fellow colleagues at the desk.
Yeah, I love it. Respect.
He's an FT.
Now, he is. Now, it's not even just runs, Kratz. He's going RBIs, which I don't think he's done that one before. So that's not a nothing. Like, that's not a easy dub. So basically, what you're saying is, and what was it, 5.5? He said, or 6.5, 5.5. So it's not just like 6-0 still might not win it for you.
No, an error doesn't count as an RBI. Yeah, there's fielder's choice. I mean, fielder's choice counts, but yeah, there might be an overthrow, something.
You might have to pick up 7, 8, 9 runs to hit that. So just keep that in mind. That's all.
We'll see.
Yeah. I'm tailing it.
You're tailing it?
Yeah. It's Pap.
Okay. We love you, Pap. Good show. Thanks to Kenny Ballgame, Mason Miller, the FT crew, and Gary Phillips for joining us. Enjoy your weekend, people. And Todd Father, Thunder Buddies for life.
Oh, man, it's done now. We're Gucci.
Perfect timing.